Welcome, pulling fans. It's Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central. You know what time that is? That is Outlawed live time. Mike, how many days we got till the first pull?
According to my unofficial math, we're sitting on 38. I got excited walking upstairs when I was counting it in my head because we're inside of 40, Ron Stone. So, hey, we're getting close, buddy.
38 days, buddy. 38. Yep, almost a month away. First weekend in June. Green flags are going to drop in Ravenna, Nebraska, 2 tracks. I'm looking forward to this season, man. It's going to be huge.
This is a big one. We've got several double shows out there. Some of the most hooks we've had were, expanding over into Illinois. We're going some places that I didn't get to go last year. There's a good buzz, kind of an electric buzz. Easy to feel that way too. We had our meeting in Rock Valley last week. That's when, you kind of light the fuse a little bit and you start getting the itch.
Yeah, that was last week. Really, it seems like it was a couple weeks ago.
just 1 week ago, there and back. Ton of fun. Great to see, all the production side, all the friends that we have on that. Great to get as much work done as we could. It still feels like, obviously, that's one of those things where you could probably spend a week working on it and still not be satisfied. But there's just, that's what goes into this sport on all sides of it.
Yeah, I picked up some more conduit framing there for us to make some more banners, and got a message from Schaefer Dave at Schaefer Oil and Specialized Lubricants saying their banners came in. So got to make some for those guys. The whole Organics banners will be in soon. Lots of big news coming. Good and maybe a little bad. What do you want first? You want the good news first, or the
well? I'm an excited guy. I always, give me the sweets before the bitter. Let's jazz it up with some fun stuff. Tell me the good news.
Right. Good news is the Organics sweep, the summer sweep, Organics. They're putting up $80,000 this year, Ooh. 10 classes, and it's going to be a big deal. Going to be a big deal. At least one of the classes, I know what they're putting up as far as the winter goes actually pays out a little more than what the points championship does. The 540 Light Pro class. 540 Light Pro guys. That's a pretty good payday. If you could win the points and win that sweep. Let's put it this way: there's 10 classes in the sweep. There's 11 classes, or 11 hooks total. Let me say that again: 10 hooks in the sweep for every class. Including the 540 Light Pro. There are 11 hooks in the 540 Light Pro class in total for the season.
Yeah.
So you make all 11 hooks, you finish first in both, you're going to have a pretty good payday at the end of the season come November at the banquet, because I think the points pays for that class just under $3,000. The Organic sweep pays just over $3,000, $3,250 to win it. You do the math, that's a pretty good payout for a class that hooks 11 times in one season.
What that's going to do, and what I love that the whole Organic sweep does, that's going to keep your hard-hitting competitors or even your whole field locked in for the entire season. So that one where you're running a 10-hook circuit and 11-hook circuit, where they're almost the same, that's going to keep everybody dialed for the whole season. But I love the concept too, like let's say that, I were a puller, I go out to Ravenna, I go out to Rock Valley, I go to an early hook. I don't perform well. My stuff's not where I want it to be. In the past, what would kind of prevent me from saying, we'll punt and come back in 2026? Well, my buddies could go back to the trailer and say, hey, you might be out of it in the Outlaw national points, but you've still got that Organic sweep that you can chase. So this keeps people, keeps their teeth sank into it a little bit. It also brings up the question I forgot to ask you last week. What about regional circuits? Are we going to be doling out any regional points this year?
Well, of course we are, Mike.
Okay, perfect. So hypothetically, a person could walk away with kind of like a triple crown.
Yeah, right now we just have 2 classes that have some regional hooks. So yes, absolutely. Light Limited Pro and Limited Pro Stock. Somebody hits every one of those hooks and they do really well. Particularly in the Organic sweep hooks, and particularly in those for Limited Pro Stock, there are 4 regional hooks. For Light Limited Pro Stock, there are 3 regional hooks. There's a potential that one puller could sweep all three of those.
Did we got close last year? I want to say that like Andrew Meister or someone else was knocking on that door, really, really in the ballpark of. I don't think we had anybody pull off a trifecta last year, but I think there was a couple places where they were close.
No, nobody pulled off the perfect season last year.
Yeah.
With, nobody bowled the 300, if you will.
There you go. Yeah, I like that.
Game. But yeah, there's potential for that, and there's absolutely potential to have 3 different winners in all 3 in those.
Which arguably, let me ask you this from a pulling enthusiast standpoint, from something to talk about as an announcer, something for me to write about, on my article, which would be better for pulling or for fans to see someone go out there with a mega season and they pull off, that grand slam, triple crown sweep, which is going to put eyeballs on it, or to see 3 different champions in 3 different points races to keep us, vying for everything, which would be the bigger story?
I think that's quite the task, with the exception of that 540 Light Pro class, which it still could happen with 11 hooks that it could be 2 different winners for the points and for the Organics Midwest Summer Sweep. But the odds say that most likely it's going to be the one tractor is going to win those both. Now, I say that, and they're going to prove me wrong on that. But I think anyone that could take in those 2 classes that have 3 different points races, for somebody to dominate all 3 of those, it would definitely prove just that they are a dominating team out there. And don't think there won't be teams trying, because they will try to dominate all 3 of those. Let's check in. I see Al Ferguson is backstage, Mike.
Sure.
But they're going to have to take him back to makeup. I think he's going to have to go get some more makeup back there.
I don't know that we have a budget in that department big enough to we might just have to roll with what we've got here, Ron.
He's in the shop. He can smear a little grease or oil on him or something. Doesn't look like he's been doing something. Maybe. Cole Lundahl checking in from Wakefield, Nebraska. Lots of super fans that watch every single Tuesday. Chris Pierce says good evening. Robert Miner, Hello Outlaw crew, checking in from Niobrara, Nebraska. And Austin Flit. I hope it's Austin Flit. I'll get it right one of these days. Checking in from Larchwood, Iowa, of course, home of the Sweet Paying team. And Ben Beller out of Howard, Kansas, saying good evening, gentlemen. We had a little surprise last week when we were in Rock Valley. Mike, you and I set out, and we were just starting to get our hands dirty a little bit, pulling things out of the trailer. And here comes one of our super fans that watches every week. Pretty cool.
Yeah, with that. Very, very, very nice to meet Mr. Blankenspur, correct? If I'm remembering right, really an avid fan, a big tractor collector, a carpenter. A really neat story, and he's kind of fighting the good fight and hanging in there. And it's fun to put faces with names with you fans who watch regularly. I've got to do it a couple times, so very nice to meet him. Very kind gentleman.
Yeah, there's Kurt Van Beek referencing Dick Blankspor there. He was there for a couple hours there.
Oh yeah,
hanging out with us, and Dick told us he's fighting against cancer. Has been for several years. I don't know if he showed you, Mike, but he showed me the casket that he made for himself. Have you ever? I mean, this guy bleeds international red, but to the extreme, the casket had IH symbols all over it. It was pretty interesting. He
is insured that when he goes out, he's going out one way and one way only, and that's with his brand. And boy, doesn't that speak to farmers and pullers and Americans in general? I mean, we are the tried and true and bleeding red or bleeding blue. It's that's the type of crowd that we like out there. But a super neat gentleman. Very handy. He's got this shop. He's built all his own cabinetry. He's got all these Ertl style toys that he has on display out there. Avid hunter. He told me he's got a hunting ground in southeast Iowa, not far from where I do a lot of my hunting, actually. And he's put several big bucks on the ground. Love meeting the fans. When it comes down to it, folks, we've always got time to talk pulling.
Yeah, Mark Willis checking in from Carrollton, Missouri. That, of course, the home of the Schluter family. Chuck and Clem Schluter and Corey Schluter, Tina and Eric Berger, Hello from Wilbur, Nebraska. All right, Mike, I'm gonna tell you the bad news. All right, now
good thing I'm sitting down.
This would be bad news for diesel super fans and light super ag fans out there that are going to.
I now know what you are going to say. I now know. Okay.
Thunder by the River and
Yep.
Wisner. They have cut those two classes. Diesel
with
super
a heavy
stock
heart.
and light super stock ag will not be pulling at Thunder by the River this year. And today, a little change in the schedule. That final schedule is going to come out here in a couple days. May 1, we're going to put it out there. We're going to roll with that final schedule. And we're making some last-minute changes here, trying to get everything in, trying to get all those contracts in. But as of today, light super ags will not be in David City, Nebraska, on August the 19th. They will be in Warrensburg, Missouri at the Show Me Shootout. So light super ag going from David City. They'll be going from Lee, Nebraska, making the trip down to I'm getting ahead of myself, to Warrensburg, Missouri, at the Show Me Shootout. So the semis will be back in Warrensburg. As far as I know, I'm still waiting on the word from that. Semis getting more hooks this year. But in place of those light super ags in David City, right now they are taking the Economods, small block of Economods from Heartland Group. Those little anywhere from 600 to 800 horsepower small block power tractors. Fun class to watch. But those guys will be there on August the 19th in David City. So they will have Super Farm, 3200 Super Field in a two-wheel drive, and the Economod, small block Economod tractors there in David City. That is a busy weekend. That's a busy night.
We've got 3 polls. We've got David City, Pawnee City, and Warrensburg.
Right.
Ron, my gut reaction to them kind of reallocating the light super ag, I actually think that's going to be met with some positive, feedback. The only thing down here where I'm at that I heard when the Outlaw schedule came out tentatively, people were tickled with it. They were excited for it. The only little thing I heard was there's no light super ag in Missouri. And so now they're hooking in Missouri. And if memory serves me correct, I think that's exactly what they did last year. I think they pulled at Lee and then went down to Warrensburg last year. I don't remember for certain, but my gut tells me that's what they did in 2024. So it's not without precedent.
They did make the trek down there to Warrensburg last year. And, the Missouri guys like pulling at that track, but we went from 0 hooks in that class in Missouri to 1 and possibly 2 now.
I said
considering adding that class there in September. Let's get a hold of these comments here, Mike, before they get too far behind us. Austin, I'm pretty sure he's referring to Dick Blancaspor there.
Yes.
Saying he's a truly great man. The Kevin Davis checking in from Wayne, Nebraska, the Wayne County Fair.
Always good to see you, Kevin.
Mike Horton watching from Winfield, Missouri. Where's Winfield, Missouri, Mike?
Not off the top of my mind. Couldn't tell you.
Maybe Mike will let us know. Zook Feukerberg says hello from Whitewright in Lindsay, Texas. Of course, Zook is pushing that Whitewright pull. Those guys are doing some big things down there. They did add a class. They added the Texas Hot Farm class. If you watched the Lufkin pull, dragging and pulling in the pines, we added that Texas Hot Farm class, the equivalent of our light limited pro stock class.
That's what I thought it was. Are they still at 8,500 or they bump up and run like 9,000 or 95?
I'm pretty sure they're 8,500. I think. One of those guys runs with us on a regular basis.
Sure.
Larry Jester, the trial and error forward out of Whitewright. He travels. Shoot, he's all over the country. I've seen him down in Georgia even pulling. So Jennifer Johnson says, really? And I'm not sure if that is a legit account. Ben Ballard, Mike, did you see where Wheatland Motorsports Minis mentioned going to Mound City, Kansas? That's not currently on the tentative schedule. Did you see that one?
I did. So if it's the one I'm thinking of, they had a super interesting, man, oh man, I love it when pullers get big into their social media.
Are you talking about Wheatland, the Wheatland Express, the Stevens?
It's whatever the mini rod, the limited mini rod class that we're going to have this year. They put out their schedule for the year, and they did it by a map. They did it by geography, and they hit all their Western Series or Silver Series, whatever they're going to hit. And then they showed their Outlaw pulls. And I do remember they bopped Mound City, Kansas as a pull they planned to attend. Now, I didn't pull up the schedule, and I just assumed that, okay, we must be having that class at Mound City, Kansas. But as I start processing, I wonder if they didn't mean to put, seeing that they did have mostly Champions Tour hooks. They did have some Outlaw hooks.
Yeah.
I wonder if they didn't mean that Mound City a little
Missouri,
bit farther.
they are pulling in Mound City, Missouri.
I bet they meant Mound City, Missouri. Yeah, because I did see that class is going to be there.
Probably just a clerical error.
That would be, as I start processing that, I did see it. I got excited. I know they're coming to a couple of Outlaw shows. That was not the only one, but I bet they got the Mound Cities. And I hope, for their sake, if they're watching, because nothing would stink worse than to show up in the wrong Mound City with the wrong class. And and be the first puller to do that.
And I'm going to take off from what you just said, Mike, and remind all the pullers out there, any schedule that you pull off the website, that you pulled off of Facebook, that says tentative on it. This says tentative right here. Throw that away after the final schedule comes out this week. Do not go by any schedule this summer that says tentative at the beginning of it, because things have changed. That has happened in the past for a puller. I know a puller showed up at Buckner one year, 3 or 4 years ago, and he was going by an old tentative schedule that we had his class in Buckner, and he was the only one that showed up in his class. He was upset, but he had an old schedule. But, pullers, we try to give them an idea. That's why we put the tentative schedule out there. And, and they do understand that, we're going to be tweaking it and things may change. But for the most part, most of it stays the same.
It's easy to do. Case in point, without embarrassing you here, Ron, we get busy in the summer. We get going several places. You've headed off for the incorrect town, I believe you've told me before, and
we don't have
showed
to talk
up with
about
a little.
That. We don't have to talk about that was crazy. Yeah, I got to the Sac City and Britt. Yeah,
Yep.
Britt is Wednesday night. Sac City's Thursday night. I was headed to I don't know why, but I was headed to Sac City. Pulled into Sac City and it had hit me, and I was like, wait a minute.
This doesn't look like the place it's supposed to look like.
Oh man, yeah, that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing. But Brandon Gilliland checking in from South Texas, down there in Uvalde, right on the border, and you can't get much further south than that. Jim Schwartzman from Tongi, from Tonganoxie, Kansas. Jim, we're going to be heading out your way to McLouth this year. You going to McLouth? Should be a great show. Doug both checking in, says the Texas hot farms are 9,000 pounds. So my mistake. So what's 500?
The only reason I asked, I was interviewing a puller from Wisconsin last night on the Let's Grow Pulling, and he started describing his tractor and everything about it until we got to the weight. I kept saying to myself, well, that's an LLP. And he mentioned, he goes, well, we actually run them at 95. And then I remember this past winter, if you look at the Gordyville, you ever try to sort through the classes out there at, whatever it is now, it's Shipshawana or wherever they have it.
Yeah.
Boy, when you try to combine all these, USA East and TNT, and there's a lot of what we would call the LLPs, and some are, 8,000, 85, and they try to combine them all out there. So, yeah, I'm learning that class is open for interpretation when you leave the Midwest.
Yeah, I was with Ken Summers and I did this little thing called the Cowtown Showdown, and we had to do the same thing to try to, get all these pullers from these different organizations, because we had pullers from all over the country and Canada come in and pull there, and we had to do the same thing. I actually used some of the Gordyville rules that they'd come up with to govern some of those classes. So I know all too well, my friend. Parade Alley Lounger checking in, says peekaboo. I saw it it's not an outlaw event, but I actually saw an ad the other day for camping at Bowling Green. They had like 3 spots left or something. I bet those went pretty quick.
They made the post, 3 spots left, and I think it was within a couple of hours they reposted and said, sold out. That's a unique place, to be able to operate and do what they do. I mean, they have a full-time staff, 4 or 5 people work year round just to promote that one pull, whereas we have full-time staff members for our association. They have full-time staff members for that one pull. It's really something out there.
Speaking of camping, Rock Valley, we're going to have some of the Rock Valley guys on here as soon as we can in the next couple weeks. They're doing a lot of cool things this year, and they are offering more camping area for people coming from out of town that have a camper or a tent. So they do have some more land procured to have that camping. They're also going to be doing the pre-sale tickets, as our folks down in Whitewright, Texas, are going to do that as well. So through Full Pull. Some pretty cool things happening. Dale Bartell's one of our announcers.
Absolutely.
Checking in. Chance James Steen, can't wait for some pulling fun. That's right. Tipsy camping is life, says Parade Alley Lounger. So now I said, did I say the good news? Did I give you good news or bad news? It was all I gave you both. I gave it all.
We've got both, with the whole Organics Midwest doing their thing this year, and the regrettable news, but the understandable news with Wisner making some schedule changes. Speaking of Organics, did you peruse Facebook today and see who their featured salesman or they're highlighting? And
I
Todd Bowles himself, the Organics when the smoke clears, I guess.
I saw that. I wish I would have saved that picture. I could have put it up here on the screen. Yeah, Todd Bowles. Todd is, you know what? He loves pulling, and his big thing is, man, and I feel the same way, is trying to reward those pullers, trying to get more money in their pockets. And Organics Midwest has done some huge things for pullers, for outlaw pullers over the last few years, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So really awesome to have a partnership with a company like that, Organics Midwest. And it's a great product too. It's a great product. I mean, the pullers that we have that have tried it, and let's do a test plot. They've been, you imagine all these snake oil salesmen try to sell farmers things over the years, and they're used to that. So they're not very trusting of new products. Once they've tried it, they've seen, the proof in the pudding, and then, they're getting more bushels per acre and a hardier plant and more drought resistant. They're all in. So we've seen that success because the more the farmers have bought of their product that are attached to Outlaws or connected to Outlaws, they have in return rewarded our pullers, rewarded our promoters with, money to help the pullers, to help the promoters pay for classes, pay for other things. So great relationship, and it's a great product. That's something that Kurt Van Beek with the Outlaws has always stressed too. We don't want to just take on any sponsor. We will not. First thing, if I talk to somebody, first thing Kurt says when I talk to him about sponsorship, is it a good product? We need to try it first. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's, a potato chip company or a motor oil, or, it has to be a good product that we can stand behind as well, because we're basically selling this product, trying to help sell this product for these companies.
When the potato chip company does approach us, I will volunteer as quality control. Just let me know whenever that time comes. I'll give you a very honest feedback on that one.
Kurt Van Beek, of course, referring to our Todd Bowles we were talking about. Kurt Koimas is speaking to Rock Valley, Thunder in the Valley. The town is going to have a ton of stuff going on during the day. Of course, Rock Valley, the big news there, they're going Thursday, Friday, Saturday, no Saturday noon session. And from what I'm hearing, the town is seriously getting involved like they haven't before. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on in town for everybody, for adults, for kids, for the whole family. So love it to see that when the town gets involved to make it a destination pull. That pull is going to continue to grow because of that.
Well, and I think we saw a lot last year where the pull itself committed to the town. When the pool said, hey, we're going to do a free will entry, pay what you think is right. And then the pool said, hey, community, this is for you. You've been through hell and high water, literally. This is back to you. And when you send that message through polling, it's pretty easy for, I would imagine, a community to say, all right, let's do this together. Yeah. And that's where you see things start turning into your Tomas and turning into your Bowling Greens when they get on that same mission. Very exciting time, I think, for the Thunder in the Valley up at Rock Valley, Iowa.
Right. And, last year, they almost didn't have the event, and polling fans really spoke up and said, we want you to have this event. We'll come help clean up after the flood there in Rock Valley. And that happened. We saw polling teams. We saw polling fans show up, polling photographers. Cole Lundahl, it was one I think was there. And they helped clean up. And, some of the people that donated their money back to the city of Rock Valley to help, people that have been misplaced by the floods there. And they're still cleaning up there. But I think a lot of people maybe in town there saw, hey, these pullers, pretty good group of people over here. So this town is getting involved. The city's getting involved. That's going to be huge for that event down the road here. So, and this year, I think it's going to be the biggest one ever. I think we may eclipse COVID year in 2025. We're going to see a bunch of hooks at Rock Valley.
We hope. A lot of good buzz in the extended pulling community about it. People from other associations. It's on its way. It's there. It's already a destination, but it's got the potential to become a summit pull.
Yeah, Kurt Van Beek talking about there at Rock Valley, the pedal pool going to be put on by the Outlaw Young Guns on Saturday afternoon in town. That's cool for the kids. Get all the kids involved, the local kids as well as the kids that are just fans coming in to watch the pool. Huge. I wish they would have had some stuff like that when I was a kid. I would have loved that.
Can you imagine going back after summer vacation as, a sprightly 9-year-old and saying, I won the tractor pull at Thunder in the Valley, going up there on your pedal tractor.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. They ought to give away a rock award.
Like a miniature rock or a
miniature rock.
Yeah. Get them. Yeah.
Austin says he received his tote of Holganics today. Awesome. Love to hear it. Derek Brown says he might be ready. I think he might be a little full of something there. I think he's ready. What do you think?
I would imagine.
I don't know. That motor sounded pretty ragged on that modified truck at Unionville last year. I don't remember what happened there, but at the end of his run, a lot of clanking and engine noise you're not supposed to hear out of one of those big motors.
There were gremlins there, but he battled gremlins. He battled gremlins back and forth last year, but he put in a lot of work. I saw him staying late and did a lot of test hooks afterwards. I'm very confident that they're going to have that thing, pedal to the metal and figured out.
Robert Miners, his rooms are booked for Rock Valley. Awesome. Parade Alley Lounger says he don't make potato chips, so he make Infinity Whiskey Bins, or maybe
blends. I think
blends. There you go. Wow, homemade whiskey. Wow, that sounds like trouble.
Knock yourself out. I'll stick to the silver bullets.
Cole Lundahl said he's had his room for Rock Valley booked since early March. That's good. Roper Brown will be happy to.
Maybe he's doing the pedal pull.
Maybe he might be a little too big for the pedal pull. I think
if Roper Brown makes it into the pedal pull by some, forged documentation or something, I'm taking my full pull picks. I'm going over there and I'm making a lot of money when I bet on that guy.
Yeah, that he's too old. He's representing the young guns. Yeah, he did win. I think he came close to winning the best mullet or won the best mullet there at Rock Valley one year though, 3 or 4 years ago. So, all right, without further ado here, he's out of makeup. They finally got him looking presentable halfway, I think. He'll be pulling the Holganics summer sweep this summer as well. Pro Stock 4 before puller. Alan Ferguson. Al, what's going on, buddy?
How are you?
Man, the makeup did a great job.
Yeah,
took him 30 minutes, but geez.
It took a long time.
What's going on? You're in Archie, right?
Adrian,
right down the road.
Right down the road. Yes, sir.
You ever go up to the fishing dock and drink beer?
Time to time.
Yeah.
I
got good there every once in a while. Play music in there, so I'll have to let you know next time I'm in there playing.
They got good fried chicken on Mondays.
Oh, really? They do have good food there. Good steak too.
Yep.
Heck yeah. So what's new with you? You're not pulling 8,500 light limited pro anymore. What happened?
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. I wish I could have both of them in one stable.
You were getting pretty comfortable in the seat there, making some good passes by the end of the season.
That tractor was a lot of fun.
I bet. I could tell you were liking it. I could tell. But so that one went to Oklahoma, right?
It did. Lacey Weger bought it. It went to a good home.
Yeah, he's going to have a whole he's going to have a whole shop full of red tractors for too long. Or already does.
I shed a tear the day we loaded it on the trailer and they took it home with them.
Oh man. Oh,
it went to a good home.
Yeah. They're pretty good guys. They're gonna be pulling with us a lot more this year, I think.
Well, maybe I'll get to ride on it if they don't have enough drivers.
So you almost got a win with it. It wasn't Gibbon. You came pretty darn close, didn't you?
Yep.
I got second and third at Gibbon that night.
On two tractors,
so you drove Molly's tractor that same night, didn't you? And
I think I went whatever it was, 341 and 92, and then 341 and 29.
Did you pass yourself at one point? Weren't you sitting in the lead? You passed yourself, and then you were sitting 1-2. Who ended up winning? It was late in the class.
That rotten Mike Masonbrink.
So how special would it have been to grab your first victory, but on the same night also to finish 1 and 2? I mean, talk about a story that you could tell, back at the watering hole. Just tell us about that night out there in Gibbon.
We were at Meister's shop and Barry's like, I don't think we're going to make it out there tomorrow night. And I'm like, well, why not? And he's like, oh, truck problems, whatnot. I'm like, well, I got room. I can haul both tractors. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. Well, then Molly didn't make it out. He's like, well, you can drive it. I had never sat on that tractor ever. Never started it. We throwed it. He drove it in the trailer, put it in the trailer, strapped it down, and the rest is history. And honestly, when I took off the line, her throttle or shifter handle went down my sleeve of my fire suit, and I thought, I'm going to knock it out of gear. I didn't lift, and everything was great. But no, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I drove Meister's tractor, 3 or 4 years ago.
You cost him the championship.
Oh, it wasn't a championship now.
This gets brought. This is like a folkloric story, Ron. This is, every time. Pretty soon it's going to be you cost him Louisville or something.
I know,
the story grows and grows every time that I hear it.
Yeah, he's supposed to go to Louisville if he'd have got second, but he got third.
Yep, no, that's right.
No, he was in second when he got there, and it was very close with him and the Demon Deer, and the Demon Deer passed him. Now, would he have outpulled the Demon Deer that day? Who knows? But I was going to say, I'm 6'2". I got pretty long arms, but that throttle on Meister's tractor, I cinched that seatbelt up tight. I had to stretch pretty good to get that throttle all the way out there. I was like, how long is this guy's arms way out there? So the four-wheel drive, pro stock four-wheel drive, that's your class. You got your motor back, right?
Yes, sir.
Ready to go.
Went with a new motor builder. We're with Dave and Daniel Campbell down at Design Performance. Actually took it out 2 months ago. We went to DeCoin.
Wait a minute. Wait. Those guys, they don't even like Chevys down there, do they?
They don't. They don't. They kick rocks at them, but from what I can tell, we have a decent piece now.
Good deal. So yeah, it's going to be here before you know it. Mike's got 38 days there. He posts it every week. We do the show. So we're a week away from a month out. So are you going to chase the points all season?
There's no way I can. With the farming we have, it'll never happen. We have too many acres and too few guys to ever make that a possibility for me.
Now that organic sweep might be kind of enticing.
Yep, that's what I did last year with 85.
Yeah,
I made all those, and I plan on doing that.
Okay,
for sure.
Good deal. And if you ever need a fill-in driver, just saying, if you ever need a guy. No,
That's fine.
Right.
I'll have it in the trailer. You just come get it all.
I've driven more trucks and tractors. I'll tell you that.
Wait, I thought Ron was volunteering me. I thought you were volunteering me. You're talking about yourself.
Yeah, I didn't see.
I'm telling you, enough of these pullers keep telling me about it. I'm going to get a big head, and one of these days, I'm going to think I actually have business sitting in one.
We're going to
put
you on.
If they're set up right, you can drive about anything.
Why don't you hop out and then I'll steer it off the track sometime? I think that would be good enough.
Might want to start out with a little bit less than 1,200 horse right off the bat.
Yeah, that's yeah.
You know, that's
probably
about where Al's at. He's probably somewhere in that 1,200 horsepower range, right?
It's better than what it was in the past.
I like that answer.
It took me 1 year and 7 months to get this one built, but it's better than what it has been.
Now, do you have a past? I'm trying to remember. Did you start off in circle track racing?
Yes, sir, I did.
So you've went circle track, 4-wheel drive, and tractor. Does the driving style, I mean, at the end of the day, if you can drive all of them, or are they three entirely incomparable, ways of competing?
The first time I drove a pickup, I drove Mike Compton's truck. I didn't know Ford Tough. I'd have to say that was back in, I don't know, probably 13. I met him like the winter of 2011. I think Heather won Kemper Arena, the farm show then. And I helped him for a couple of years, and he called me one Saturday. We were actually shelling corn, but it was wet. We have to feed the dryer, and he said, "Let's go to Buckner. You're driving tonight."
Huh.
And I'm like, "All right." And that's the first time I ever drove a truck was Mike and Heather's truck. It was up at Buckner, Missouri.
Did that do it for you?
Oh, no, not yet.
No? Okay.
No, 20 seconds of fun didn't surpass 30 minutes of fun running a feature.
So now I've talked to you a little bit about the circle track race. You said the atmosphere,
good word,
is completely different from one to the other. Talk about that a little bit.
I've honestly raced from border to border, almost up to Wisconsin, Minnesota, all the way down in Texas and down to Arizona. It's a totally different atmosphere. And, you put a tire mark down somebody's door and they're mad at you, and it's not the same. It's not.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Do I miss racing? Absolutely. But the time it takes to take care of a race car it's a 7-day-a-week job.
Yeah.
So when did, Ron kind of said, hey, that first time at Buckner, and you said, I like that 30 minutes. Was there a hook where you were like, okay, it's time to build one of these. It's time to go straight and move weight. What did that for you?
Rock Valley of 2020.
And what happened up there?
I had been out racing in Arizona, destroyed a car, built a brand new car when I got home. I raced it twice before we went to Rock Valley, and I went to Rock Valley with Mike. And he exploded a clutch on Friday night. And the amount of people that come around and brought parts, and we were up until, I don't know, till daylight.
Yeah.
I cracked a beer at daylight so I could say the day was over with and go take a nap. We had to go. I don't know who had the machine shop uptown. We had to go machine a stand bolt on the clutch to get it back together. And I said, this is probably where I need to be. And that was COVID year, and there was a ton of hooks up there.
Yes, there was
a ton of hooks, and we went to where was that? Was that Mexico, Missouri?
Yeah, we went to Mexico that year.
After that, when PPL showed up and wanted to try to ruin everybody's points, they thought they were going to. And I bought my truck from Tony and Josh at Mexico. The old stretch truck. I told him I'd take it that night.
So now the name on your truck, Al, it's a Four Season Gambler. That's a reference to farming, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. So
several years ago, I'd call him my crew chief that always worked on my car. He, I don't know, it was 8 or 9 o'clock. I got out of the field, got home, we was working on it, and it was a new car back then. And he's like, I think we're going to call this one the Four Season Gambler. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, you gamble every day of the week, 4 seasons out of the year. He said, this is what will be the Four Seasons Gambler. So it just kind of stuck from there when I was trying to name that truck, and that's where that come from.
Awesome. So you said you're not going to run point. By the way, Mark Ham, you know that Mark J. Ham, he says
Mark's a good dude. Mark is a good dude.
And Trisha Ritter said Trace and Trig said hi, Big Al.
them two right there hate Chevys more than anybody because their dad and their uncle brainwashed them.
They would say that they've educated them on the ways of the winning, but
But I will say I have seen them wear one of my T-shirts, so they will put a Chevy T-shirt on.
Yeah, I've gotten in many conversation with Doug Ritter. We start talking engines, and I give him a hard time on the Ford thing sometimes too. But it's all in fun.
That's what makes it fun.
You got people watching from the Buckeye State tonight, Al. They heard you were on. Chris Kilbarger says hi from Ohio. So when are you going to run the whole point season? That's what everybody wants to know. You got a brand new motor. We want to see that thing go out there and take a shot at a points championship and knock this Keith Hammonds off his perch up there, man. He's just dominating.
He is. He's got one heck of a truck, and he's a heck of a driver. You can't dispute that.
Yeah.
The guy's as smooth as they come.
Yeah.
You don't ever see him have a hiccup.
No, he's. Well, I tell you what. Early in the day,
it would take a lot of help. Somebody else is going to have to drag it around and go run it to try it. But
early in the day, if you go out there when they rip that track open, he's right there watching.
Yep.
He's out there running the dirt through his fingers. He really is. It's like
he told me, interestingly enough, to piggyback off that, Ron, he says he actually, one of his goals is to get to the track as early as possible. He says he wants to know what it looks like before it's opened up. He says he takes mental notes of some of the things and maybe where the water gathers and this, that, and the other. He says, he goes, I want to see it before they start grooming it because there's going to be some telltale signs that tell me the way that dirt actually wants to behave before we've made it look pretty. So it's, yeah, he's got his, I swear he's got his notebook out there and he does it.
That's how we honestly, I think we won down at Lufkin there that first year I had the truck out.
Yeah.
Mike and a good buddy of mine, Jamie, with me, and they're both good dirt guys. And we watched them open the track up and work it. And I had to tiptoe down the right sideline the whole way, but it definitely does pay dividends to pay attention how it is before and after.
Well, that pull down there, since you came down there that year, Al, that pull has grown exponentially.
I've wanted to go the last 2 years, and I've been without a motor. And the last 2 years, I could have made it. We were done harvesting by then. That's a good show down there.
Yeah, they brought in a bunch of big bleachers this past year, and they filled them up. Still standing room only. So
I hope to make it down there this year.
Awesome. We'll hold you to that. So.
No, Cody, I'm not.
A blue 5.0 Pro stock, huh?
I'm not that good of a farmer.
I do think it would be interesting, though, after having seen, your success and your comfortability on the tractor last year. There's a lot of people out there, they might have a 2-wheel drive and a mod, or they might have a mod and a tractor. I don't know of anybody who hauls around a truck and a tractor I think it would be kind of neat. I'd kind of like to see you find your way back in the seat inside of a roll cage and steering with the brakes and maybe taking both out on the circuit.
Believe me, I would like to as well. I'm not gonna lie, that tractor was a lot of fun to ride.
It was pretty cool last season. I have to admit, watching you get used to it and you started doing better and better and dang near got that win at Gibbon. That would have been cool. But yeah, you were getting it figured out there before the end of the season.
I got rode pretty hard after Ottawa though. The first night it ever really stood up, I did lift. And you want to talk about Meister and Golda and Mike, they were all riding me. I'd rode it probably 3 times before that, and it never really stood up. And that night, it was on a pass, and I failed. Big time. Big time.
So what other changes have you made to the truck in the off season? Anything besides the engine? I mean, is it
No, I did a lot of front end work.
Suspension
wise stuff. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
I'm a race car guy. I can't leave stuff alone. So I refined some more of that 4-link up front, and it made it laid down really nice and made a good passing to coin. So I was pretty happy with it.
You use any circle track shocks on the front of that?
Probably so. Probably so.
I know another team out there that does that. Uses some circle track technology in their front suspension.
It does work. It does work.
I think one thing I figured out when I was pulling my truck is to limit the amount of actual squat in the front end to a minimum. That kept me from bouncing more than anything. Whenever I put some stops down there, and just when you hung the weights on it, it was fully collapsed. The springs were fully down on the stops, and man, that just took my bouncing. It was gone. I had dual shocks on the front, but
that's what I've been pretty lucky with since the day I built that truck, and I pretty much cut it completely apart when I got it from Josh and Tony. Yeah. And that truck's never bounced a single pass.
Man, that's good. That's good. That's your biggest thing you'll fight in a 4-wheel drive pulling truck is bounce.
Yep, it is.
Irish pulling team checking in from Harmon, Illinois, planting in full swing. Man, a lot of people checking in tonight. Yep. So what's your goals, man? You're pulling goals out.
I don't know. I don't really have any.
Are you happy in the class you're in? You want to go modified? You want to build a modified tractor, pro stock?
No. If I could do anything, I'd probably build that 8500 Light Limited Pro is a heck of a class. If I could do anything, I'd have the pro stock pickup and that tractor.
And that is you're talking about 2 super competitive classes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. You're jumping in the hardest to pick up wins.
And that makes you a better puller. That makes you a better mechanic. It makes you better everything. When you run against the best of the best, that both classes are stacked full of great tractors.
That top 5 in that Light Limited Pro, the same with Pro Stock 4x4 is if you can crack that top 5 in either one of those classes, you've done something, man.
and they're 2 classes of great people, and everybody's willing to help everybody. You know, I've seen the best of both worlds in both of them.
Speaking of Andrew Meister, his better half.
All them guys. Most of the time, I park. Me and Mike Compton and Miles, we all park with Mason Brink and Myers's and Meister. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, I've been back there with you guys. Yeah. In the pit area. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That was my first Outlaw after hours pit experience was right back in there in your guys' trailer. And I believe it wasn't early when we said goodbye, so I'll put it that way.
Well, it was early.
Early the next day.
It was early the next day.
It wasn't early on the PM side. It was early on the AM side, yeah.
I believe we were in the Ford Tough trailer that night.
That was a fun night. I learned a lot right there. And you can see where Mike Compton, you've referenced, a lot you've learned from him. He has a good way of teaching and explaining. He's a good one to be around to pick a lot of this stuff.
He is. His truck's about ready to go. Be the
New
first
motor
time.
in it?
Huh?
New motor in that one?
Yep. Yep.
Brooke Meister says, come to the dark side, Al.
They keep talking. They keep wanting me to move.
Loretta Selman says, glad you're back. Says you're lots of fun. Derek Brown, look forward to seeing you out, Al. Dylan Dirks, it was good having you at DuQuoin over the winter. Hope you have a good season this year. So lots of fans checking in here tonight, Al.
No, the Outlaw family, there's nothing like it. They're just not. Running up and down the highway all the miles make it worth it. Just the family atmosphere.
Not saying anything bad about any other organization out there, but I've talked to pullers that pulled for other organizations that have stepped out and pulled with us, and they say it's a different atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little more cutthroat, if you will, over there.
Yep.
And with us, once the pull's over, hey, you're rubbing elbows with your competition and you're laughing and you're having a good time, helping each other, giving each other advice. It's definitely a family. So
none of us do it for money. That's what it's about. We go out there to have fun and compete, but at the end of the day,
right. Yeah. Nobody's getting rich. Nobody's getting rich doing this.
Nope.
Well, Al, anybody you want to thank out there? Could be a sponsor, friends, family, a shop. Anybody that's helped you along the way?
Mike, Miles, Meister, Golda, Cones by Golda. When you're driving a tractor.
Or side by side, yeah.
Well, let's not talk about Bedford there a few years ago. No, I mean, just everybody. It don't matter where you go. If you need something, there's somebody there that'll have it and is willing to lend a hand.
Now you mentioned Golden. Now there's one there for a while. There was a season or two. You could throw that guy on somebody's tractor and he'd go out and win.
He's probably going to be in that pickup at some point this summer.
He's a good one.
Yep. So, and I'm trying to get Meister to trade me somewhere, and I think he's just too chicken to crawl in it.
That'd be cool. I'd pay to watch that.
I think you're scared of them RPMs.
Well, Al, thanks for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man,
before we let him go, let's let him take a look at his highlight video. And he left a question blank on his questionnaire. So I'm going to ask him live time right here. But Al, you're going to get to see this live with the rest of the world. Your highlight video, When the Smoke Clears, courtesy of the good folks at Beer Money Pulling Team. When the Smoke Clears, you're looking at an outlaw, and the outlaw this week, Al Ferguson. The only outlaw puller that we have featured in a tuxedo on his.
Where did you get that picture at?
So the ways of the internet are absolutely amazing. First of all, I do want to give a huge shout out to Mackenzie Teeting. She does all the video building, all the hero cards.
She's good.
And I was worried. I was actually worried because when I reached out to you, I was afraid the only footage we would have would be from Outlaw Pulling TV, and we would only have footage of the tractor. And she said, "Don't worry about it." She goes, "I can find it." And she asked me to find a picture. Well, I think somewhere in your Facebook or something like that, you and your wife were doing something special. But it is kind of fun. You are our only outlawed, nothing more rugged and racing than a man looking dapper right there with a flower pin to him. So
perfect.
One of a kind right there. So I do appreciate you filling out your biography for us. We'll run down that really quick, and I'll see if I can get that final question. So tonight's puller, of course, is Al Ferguson. He's been an awesome interview with us. He's the driver of the 4-season Gambler Pro Stock 4-wheel drive truck. He says he's been pulling for 5 years. Must be some on and off years here, because you said your first hook was in 2014 in Mike Compton's Ford Tough, just like you told us earlier. You said your most memorable hook, 2021, taking the gold at Lufkin, Texas. What did that mean to you?
That was big. The truck was still in the stretch colors back then.
Yep.
And getting Mike to go down there with me and Jamie to go down there with me, just going on a whim, because I hadn't pulled much at all. I'm like, we just will go down there and give it a whirl. And heck, was there 10 or 12 trucks down there then, Ron?
I don't remember how many we had that first time we brought those down.
Marty was down there, and Derek Brown was down there. All the Dodge boys were down there.
I think Philip Chrysler came down.
Philip was down there. There was a pile of trucks
Red
down
Cloud,
there. And to beat those guys that have done it forever, it meant a lot.
Yeah.
It made me feel like I was going in the right direction with the truck.
That track's a little tricky too, buddy.
It definitely was then. There was a lot of sand down there.
So most of these I'm realizing we've kind of talked about tonight. You know, like I said, been a really good interview. We appreciate you coming on. Said your wildest ride, you already talked about this one. Wildest ride you ever took was just this past season in Ottawa, Iowa, on the fuzzed up light limited pro stock tractor. You know, at least with the pro stock truck, all 4 tires have the good sense to stay on the ground where they belong. But
and that's what I told all them tractor guys when they were getting onto me. I said, my front end's not supposed to come off the ground.
I don't remember what happened. Did you keep it in bounds, or did you get out of it? What was the end result there?
Like an idiot, after I left it, I just buried the throttle back down wide open. And I bent a spindle is all I did. I did bend the spindle. But if I had any sense, I'd have let out of it. But like the third time on the tractor, I didn't have any sense. I just barreled back in it, and I don't know. I had a hell of a hole shot, and it was going to be a good pass, but I screwed up. I didn't know. I didn't have very many coaches in the tractor world at that point.
As soon as you pulled back on the throttle, you knew you were in trouble in the pit area later, didn't you? That's why you went back to the throttle immediately.
I loaded it in the trailer, strapped it down, and we headed for Rock Valley.
Yeah, that's yeah, I know what you're saying. I I
remember
I've driven some other people's vehicles before that said they all tell me the same thing. There's one rule: do not lift.
I told him when I left on him when we got to Rock Valley, I said, I ain't lifting unless I'm over the guardrail.
Yeah.
I remember in Gibbon though, Brady Gosler said, he goes, you dang pickup guys know how to walk one out of the hole.
Oh, sure.
It was kind of soft coming
sense.
out of the hole at Gibbon that night. And I rode the clutch out probably way longer than any of them guys would. And I just remember Brady telling me, he goes, you dang pickup guys know how to walk one out of the hole.
Well, and especially the pro stock where you guys have to be so patient getting out there. So it's just, you can't.
Yep.
You're never in a hurry, I would imagine, until it's time for that right hand to shoot forward.
Yep.
Yeah, 1,200 horse on DOT tires. Yeah, you got to be a little ginger coming out of the hole there. What else you got, Mike? You got some more questions?
We asked him how many championships. He says no championships. I'm going to add to that. He just simply said no championships. I'm going to add one word. I'm going to rephrase that. No championships yet. You just don't have this much talent and not have things go your way. Though, as we've said, a lot of classes you could have went out and cherry picked the championship. You probably jumped into, maybe had super farm to this, 2 of our most competitive classes, but I am going to say no championships yet. Biggest pulling hero, Mike Compton. Now, Mike, without knowing it, actually set a record tonight too. Mike is now, by kind of default, the most referenced biggest pulling hero on When the Smoke Clears. You are now the second person who has said, everyone's got their own hero, but Mike now has 2 people that say that he is their pulling hero. Of course, Jordan would be the other one who's alluded to, Mike being the man. But, he is. He's a man of much wisdom in this sport.
He's a good mentor. He's a good mentor, and he'll help anybody out. It don't matter where we go.
Ford or Chevy.
Yep. Yep. Or Dodge.
Your next quote, your next quote, I can remember, I think it's his quote. You said, what was the best pulling advice? And you said, it's about the going. And that's a Mike Compton quote right there.
It's all about the going.
It's half the fun is just knowing you're headed to a pull. And from my standpoint, where, I'm just going out here and doing media and whatnot, I completely understand. I mean, it's all about just being there and being a part of it. So I completely get it. Day job. He's a farmer. How many acres do you farm, Al?
Oh, about 6,000.
Okay. So yeah, you stay busy then. Pulling goals. This was the one you left blank, but Ron asked you this earlier, and kind of on that same one, you said just being there,
Yeah, it just be able to go. Most summers it's 12 or 15 times is all I get to go, but just be able to keep up with that. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind one day being able to get back on a tractor.
Sure. I like that. Best part of being an outlaw, you said the camaraderie among pullers is the best part of the Outlaw family. We've spoke extensively about that tonight. And you said the message to the fans, come and enjoy great pulls and come to the pits to visit with the pullers, get up close, look at the vehicles, ask questions, right? If there's something fans want to know, pullers love to talk about their equipment. Pulling equipment is second to none when it comes to World of Motorsports, as far as the way you guys present it, how pretty it is, how shined up it is. I imagine you love talking about it when fans have questions.
Oh, yeah. I enjoy it a lot.
Perfect.
They see stuff that they've never seen before, and I think it's great to have good communication with them so they know what's actually going on.
Yeah. Sure. Absolutely. Spot on.
Mike, thanks for not letting me forget the piece again. I've done this several times.
It's all good. Well, this one of those. I was one of those people you get interviewed and you get chit chatting, and this is one of those where we could have ran half an hour over just talking pulling.
We've never done that before. I don't know.
38 days, and we can do this in person, guys.
Let's just pray for no rain.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you're going to be in Ravenna?
As long as I'm not in the field.
Good Lord willing. All right, buddy.
If I get the beans planted and everything sprayed, I'll be there.
All right, we're going to let you go so you can get back to work, get back out there on the tractor and get the beans planted, buddy. So we'll see you in 38 days, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate you.
See you.
Good dude. They're always fun to be around.
Absolutely.
Hanging out with him in the pit areas after the pulls and stuff. And good show, man. I just keep forgetting about the video, Mike.
It's easy to do. I mean, these pullers, they get, you get invested in them, and they're their own advocates, and that's what we love too, to pull back that curtain and let the fans see what they're really thinking. And he's a fun one to talk about because from the circle track to the 4-wheel drive to the tractor, he's kind of had a couple of different experiences. So it's neat to just sit back and, hear what he's got to say about the world of motorsports. Hit a lot of things on the head about how the atmosphere with the Outlaws and in pulling, we're not going to say anything about circle track racing. We'll just talk about pulling, and we'll just say it's very supportive. In the pits, the scene is very supportive. You never have to take your glasses off because, things might get a little sideways.
Yeah, that's he seems really excited. I think he's excited about this new power plant he's got there. So,
I look forward to it.
I see some excitement there in Al's eyes. So one more comment here. Man, I don't know how to pronounce that first name, Mike. You can give it a shot if you'd like.
Marta. Hello from Missouri. I'm planning to be pulling a Kubota M108S or M6S-111 in a 6,000 pro field and 7,000 too hot to farm. I have always wondered why we don't see more Kubotas in the world of pulling, even if it be someone with a wild hair putting the sheet metal, because anything can kind of be anything these days. But, why not a Kubota?
Starting to see the fence out there more often. And
Klaus.
Yeah. Roger Rui checking in.
Definitely.
One mean farmer to let everyone know if they need fuel for the Outlaw season, get a hold of me ASAP. I have a truck coming this week, so you need VP Racing fuel. Get a hold of Roger Rui. Easy to find on the old Facebook there. He is a VP dealer up there in Nebraska. So need some VP fuel, get a hold of Roger Rui. So we went over a little bit, not too bad. If I'd been on my game, I would have cued the video a little sooner there, Mike. But
if that's
all good.
If that's the worst broadcasting for Fluffle we have this season, then chalk us up. We're going to have a good season.
No kidding. So, folks, thanks for tuning in. All the super fans out there. Also want to say condolences to the Goodwin family. Dennis Goodwin passing away this week. Longtime outlaw puller, longtime puller in the Midwest. Of course, everyone knows Matt Goodwin and his diesel super stock. So condolences and prayers out there to the Goodwin family this week. Hated to see that this morning, or yesterday. But everyone, have a great week. Have a great weekend coming up. Get ready to get tuned in next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. when we're 31 days away. We're going to have one of the gentlemen from our pull in Cambridge, Illinois, the Henry County Fair promoter, coming on, and we'll let you know soon enough who we're going to have. I think we've got somebody in the box already for when the smoke clears as well, another puller. So thanks to you, Mike, for doing that. Thanks to Kinsey at the Beer Money Pulling Team for putting those together as well. And have a good week, and we'll see you next Tuesday on Outlawed Live.